Okay, I'm live. So I assume I'm live at 01, even though my camera doesn't show it. So I'm live. All right, so I went with a totally different, well, not totally different, but different tonight. I found different places to research. So I went for less history, and more musical history. Because I was trying to find stuff that was, less about the Pope and Versailles and everything, and more about Elvis and the Beatles and the Doors and whoever else. So we'll see. You'll tell me if it's better or worse. It's definitely discombobulated because the order, there isn't one at this point, because the information I found was way disjointed. And I'm not sure if it's going to be as linear. That's going to be the key here. So I did not do the what happened today in history, National Day, or tomorrow. So I don't remember what it was today. So tough. And let's see what tomorrow is. I didn't even look. So I didn't even go to that website. So this is completely different. And it's like, because it's sloppier writing, it's 3 pages, because I just was kind of rambling because there was a lot. And then I realized that the one thing was in chronological order backwards. And I was like, oh, well, that's crap. Anyway, it's because it's music. Maybe I can have a little more input into it with actual requisite knowledge, as opposed to just laughing at things that happened in the 1700s, which I still found a few things because I went through that much briefer with less emphasis on that. Make sense? All right. There you go. Told you I'd try something different. What did I do today? Oh. Yeah, so I got out and about. Now, couple things. One, still do this. Well, wait. Supposed to do that. Hold on. No. Oh, no, it changed. Damn it. Ugh. I hit the button which changed the settings. Now I have to change the freaking settings. That sucks. It's such a pain in the ass to change the settings for this thing. I have to enter the actual back end and do it. So I screwed it up. All right, so I'm just going to turn that off completely. So Heinz, there you go. There's Heinz. It's now there. I'll have to do its own screen. There you go. Great. Now, it happened. I went to Lowe's today, and here's what I saw. Ready? But it's freaking Christmas. Okay? Seriously. They're unloading Christmas. Look at this. Another shot. It's Christmas. Look at the back shelves. Christmas. Trees. Trim a tree. Come on. Halloween was like shoved in the corner. Christmas. It's September the 3rd. Just stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. It's too early to think about Christmas. I'm sorry. It's still like 90 degrees and football just started. And come on. Really? I'm not ready. I can't do it. I won't. I'm not going to do it. I haven't even busted out Halloween yet. I only put away Easter. Oh, it's ridiculous. And on my Peter Griffin, what grinds my gears segment of my show, seriously, stop running stop signs and red lights. Pay attention. Almost T-boned by someone that ran a stop sign. I mean, just like, just right through. I'm like, and the horn pulled up behind him. I'm like, did you even look? Red light. And I don't mean like, oh, it just turned red. No, it was like, my light is green. I'm going. And it's like, completely just, I'm like, you almost T-boned me. I had to slam on the brakes. I'm like, seriously, pay attention. I mean, you're driving a multi-thousand-pound vehicle at speed. It doesn't take that much, does it? I mean, I'm hoping other people are experiencing this and not just me. I mean, I don't hope you're experiencing it, but for the love of God, I'm seriously, like, I'm glad I'm an uber defensive driver. Okay? Drove an ambulance, took training classes to be an offensive driver and defensive driving classes. So I am annoyingly looking like this when I drive a lot, but what the crap, man, I'm telling you. And the third time, again, someone just pulled out in front of me. I was like, wow, I'm literally doing 40 miles an hour. And they were just like, I could see them. They looked to the right. They didn't even look to their left. They just pulled out. I was like, I'm literally going to crash into you if you stop. If you don't accelerate really fast, there's no way I can like slam on the brakes and not hit you. Thankfully, they accelerated and I swerved, but come on, pay attention. Really, just stop it. Stop it. And don't get me started on blinkers and turn signals. Just use them, damn it. There's my rant, okay? My rant. Okay, so I'm going to go through like, this is in absolutely no particular order at all, okay? None. This has like history, births, deaths, history, births, deaths. and it's music to everything, but I focus mostly on music because I ran out of time. And this was well over an hour to read all this stuff because there was a lot of it. So there you go. That's the plan. That's where we're at. I've got my Liquid Death, not sponsored, but it'll be nice. So we'll start with singles. Singles released on this day. 1974, Elton John releases The Bitch Is Back. I'm a bitch, and played that song earlier. It's an outstanding song. Love Elton John, and Bitch Is Back is a damn fine song as well. I've seen Elton John a few times. If you never got to see Elton John, sorry, he may not tour again, but he is a fine performer. 1968, Elvis released A Little Less Conversation. Also a great song. Never saw Elvis. Missed that window of opportunity. And then in 1984, and this is singles, in 1984, U2 released Pride in the Name of Love. I have seen U2 multiple times, many times, as a matter of fact. I did not look and see what date that was that I saw them in Madison Square Garden in like 1981, which was early on in their career. I think that was like a spring break or some sort of an adventure thing. I'm trying to think what that was. Now, albums released on this day. In 2021, Bruce Springsteen released Tower Theater 2005, but that was in 2021. Again, saw Bruce at Stone Pony and other times, but back in the day when I grew up, it wasn't, I wasn't one of those like Bruce. It was like, okay, cool, Bruce Springsteen, great, that's awesome. Did not fall down that rabbit hole. 1984, Iron Maiden releases Power Slave. Come on, Iron Maiden. You have never seen Iron Maiden? You have seen Iron Maiden, okay? And in 1991, Patti Loveless released Up Against My Heart. So that's album releases on this day and single releases on this day. If there's more, I missed them, but this is the ones I found on this list in my new list of things, mostly centered toward music. Okay. All right. Now I slide into some deaths and birthdays, but again, I'm going to slip out of it. So it's kind of like I said, because I found a couple different websites. I'm kind of find my actual where I wanted to. I was just tired of, like the 1920s to 1950s were just a blur of, we're warmongers. Everything's war. And I was like, okay, I just can't even read this anymore. Like, good Lord, if I read one more thing about freaking Adolf Hitler, I'm like, the fuck. Okay, so died in 2017, Walter Becker of Steely Dan. Born on this day in 1955 is Steve Jones. He's 70 of the Sex Pistols. Did not see the Sex Pistols, have seen Steely Dan. In 1942, Al Jarreau of the Beach Boys was born. He's 83. Beach Boys, I've seen the Beach Boys. That was a Jersey thing, I believe, was the Beach Boys. That was not an Ohio thing. Alan Wilson of Canned Heat died on this day in 1970. He was 27. I don't think he's on the 27 list. That's two I could add to the 27 list. Okay, remember the 27 list is these stars that died at 27. I did talk about the jazz player who died at 27. I'm like, seriously, why are you adding this guy? And now this guy is 27. Come on, There must be a more extensive list of musicians that died at 27. I'll have to compile that. I'll have to find every person that ever died at 27. Musicians. Okay. And then Eric Bell of Thin Lizzy was born on this day, and he is 78. That was 1947. Old dude bands. Now, also born on this day, 1979, is Tomo Millison of 30 Seconds to Mars. Now, 30 Seconds to Mars, remember, that's Jared Leto. And we actually just met Jared Leto for the second time at the radio station. The last rock star, movie star to visit the radio station before we went off the air was Jared Leto. That'll be a trivia question for you one day. Who was the last famous person to visit the radio station? Jared Leto. Who was super nice. They're like, give me a hug. I was like, okay, I didn't really ask for a hug, but that was really nice. I mean, he's a method actor, so he can do that. But wow, made you feel loved. Got a tear for Jared Leto. And then also born on this day, 1945, is George Boleno of Steppenwolf. Born to be wild. Born to be wild. All right, now we go into things. And again, my chronological order is backwards because I didn't realize that was going that way. And this is like a page and a half of stuff. It's interesting stuff because it's music related. So at least I can relate to it. And maybe you too. It's more music, less weird war things. And, Amelia Earhart's and such. So in 2023, an album signed by all four members of Led Zeppelin, the 1973 House of the Holy album sleeve itself sold for $19,000. Now, the funny thing was the album was not in it. This was just the sleeve. And the reason it went for such a high mark is because the rare item is to have John Bonham's signature on it. Because John Bonham died in 1980 and he was not around that long. And the band broke up shortly thereafterwards because they said they couldn't go on without him. They weren't like all the other bands. They're like, no, we'll keep right on going. We're sad, but we'll keep going. Led Zeppelin actually said, you know what? He was part of the band. Without Bonham, we aren't Led Zeppelin anymore. Who knew, right? I mean, that's an interesting take on it. But yes, without the vinyl, and they thought it would only sell for a couple $1,000. It went selling for $19,000. And it was because of a chance meeting. I guess the guy who had it met them, just this random encounter with Led Zeppelin, like some place that they weren't performing, and they were all together. And he said, okay, could you just sign this? And he didn't have the vinyl. He just, for some reason, had the flat. It's like, very funny. In 2022, the Taylor Hawkins Memorial Concert was performed today. Now remember, these are all today things. Okay. Now that had, of all the people, this happened in London. There was McCartney, Queen. Now Queen again, when Freddie Mercury died, they kept on going. AC/DC, when Bon Scott died, they kept on going. Liam Gallagher, who opened the show, and he did his rendition, Oasis, of Rock and Roll Star. And then I guess Dave Grohl did Times Like These, stopped, teared up, had to compose himself, and then said, yes, in fact, Times Like These. Poor Dave Grohl. An Ohio guy, when Dave was in Columbus, Ohio. He actually lived just down the street briefly, literally from where I am, not 10 minutes away. Who knew? I mean, well, we all did actually, because Dave's talked about that many times. But Dave Grohl, because this is actually, Taylor Hawkins died in March. So if you think about it, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So almost 7 months that they mourned. But again, kept on performing. Not Led Zeppelin. So Foo Fighters, AC/DC, just saying. Now this is a weird one. Okay, this is a weird one. So in 2012, communications between agents in inter-office communications about Michael Jackson, because today is the day, if you go back and we keep looking about Michael Jackson, this is the day that the Michael Jackson, like, he just died, and now they were sort of talking about, having like the memorials and all that stuff for Michael Jackson. I was trying to find where I had that written down. because that was in here somewhere. Sorry. Like I said, I'm disorganized with this because it's new to me. My different format. Anyway, so this was an email dated right before, on this date, but it was dated like before they found this, but it was before the communication of him going out on tour. And I guess the email pretty much stated that he was an emotional and just an absolute mess, and that he was locked in his room, drunk and despondent. And this was right before, obviously, he died. But these are internal memos that were released. And then clearly that, didn't go so well. And, Michael, in fact, died. In 2019, Elton John had stamps made of him, the Royal Mail stamps in England, speaking of Elton John. And that's only the second time ever that any artist has ever had that done. The first one being Mr. David Bowie in 2017, which I went and looked and I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. They actually, they made stamps for them. We did that for Betty White, so they could do it for Elton John. But Betty White was cool. Not that Elton John isn't, but he's not dead yet. Betty White posthumously, died, 95? I'm all right with that. All right. So now, this is crazy. So in 2012, Mike Edwards, who was the founding member of ELO, who, when he left the band, he went and became like a Buddhist. And he changed his name and all these things, and he basically made his living teaching cello. But in 2012, while living in England, in like Sussex, England, he was killed in a freak accident while driving in his van. A 1,300-pound bale of hay rolled down a hill, smashed through a hedge, and smashed into his van, knocking him off the road and killing him. I mean, you're a Buddhist and you get killed by hay. There's got to be some ironic message here. I don't know what it is, but okay. But yeah, killed by a bale of hay. Now, is that in fact when we talk about, I forgot what I always say it is. Oh, death by misadventure. Was that a misadventure? Getting run over by a beer truck in New Orleans at Mardi Gras, I think, is death by misadventure. But getting run over by a 1,300-pound bale of hay while driving your van in like Sussex, England, is that death by misadventure or what is that? That just seems like, I don't know, bad Buddhist karma? Hey, watch out for that. He was 62 when he died. So yes, so this is, okay, and there it was. So in 2009, then, this is when the last respects were being paid to Michael Jackson. And there's just I just read something recently about Michael Jackson, and, I stopped reading it because I was like, it was interesting. Well, Michael Jackson died. We were at the radio station, and because we were live at the time, and a lot of those stations weren't in the evening because he died at night, we immediately jumped into a huge Michael Jackson retrospective and played a bunch of Michael Jackson songs, and the DJs came in and programmed, and we had a whole thing and had an impromptu party at the radio station. The news crews came down because we were doing this. No other radio station at the time was able to do anything about it because they didn't have any live DJs. All of their nighttime DJs were voice tracked. So there was nothing on any other station. They were just played right through their normal set like nothing had ever happened. And we, even as an alternative rock station, jumped on the air and did this huge tribute for hours to Michael Jackson because of the fact that, he was the king of pop, even though, there were some questionable things that went on with Michael Jackson. But yeah, that was sort of a very telling moment about the direction of radio, whereas all the big corporate stations, they voice tracked. Voice tracked is the practice of recording your show. It takes you about an hour to record 8 hours of show. But they just do the intros, intro, outro, because they can see what songs are going to be played. They don't listen to the music. They just read sort of off the teleprompter. Okay, yeah, that was U2, Pride in the Name of Love on blah, 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 blah station. Next up is this. Boom, they do it. It's okay. Okay, now you're doing a lot of DJs when they voice tracked also do it for multiple stations because if it only takes them 1 or 2 hours to do a full show, they can do it for other stations in other cities. And that's how a lot of DJs for the big companies had a full-time job. It was not because they worked at one radio station. They worked at a dozen radio stations because they were the voice of stations all across the country, voice tracking. Anyway, we had not voice tracked, and we were able to actually do a musical tribute to the King of Pop that night live. In 2009, Madonna is the largest solo artist act of the year, making $400 million. Not just a female, but solo act altogether. Largest of that year and largest solo act, $400 million for Madonna. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Oh, and speaking of solo artists, I talked about the Beatles a while back. We had a conversation a little bit about the Beatles and how they did 2 shows in one day. It's exactly what I thought. The reason that they were able to do 2 shows in one day is because they had zero backline. The Beatles performed to a naked stage. They did not have any sets. They did not have any backline wardrobe changes. All they had was them and their instruments. So they were able to perform in Cincinnati in the day and then drive 361 miles and perform that same evening for a canceled show they had done earlier. Because again, when the Beatles toured in America, they literally had no backline. So they're able to do so many shows because they didn't have, 72 18-wheelers carrying all this crap. So that was one of the reasons that they were able to do it. I did find that because I was really like, how are they able to do 2 shows in one day, 361 miles apart? And then some of the other shows, exactly that. No backline, no just stuff. They literally, here's my drum kit, set it up, here's my guitars, and while my guitar gently weeps. How many rock bands could do that today? That's what I wonder. And how many bands could stand on their own without all the bells and whistles on stage for 90 minutes? Not a lot. Some, but not a lot. A lot of them require and need the props, all the pyrotechnics, all the sound effects, all the bells and whistles, the video screens, everything else. Whereas, could you stand on stage and perform for a stadium-sized audience just on your own volition? I'm wondering what artists can do that. 2008, Slipknot reaches number 1 for the first time. Now, the funny thing is, now this is by this company called Sound Exchange. We also dealt with Sound Exchange. They're one of these monitoring companies. They're the ones able to, they're sort of like they put the little spiders out there so they know how many spins you would do. So how many songs are played by us, and that helped the monitoring companies charge us our royalties. But Sound Exchange. So Slipknot did not initially win by Sound Exchange. There was a recount of all things by Sound Exchange, and Slipknot wound up winning by 1,134 sales to get number 1. I was like, really? Slipknot had to get a recount to become a number 1 album? I guess so. I mean, Slipknot, just not my personal favorite. I'm not a hater, but, just saying. In 2005, Fats Domino, 77 years old, the I Found My Thrill on Blueberry Hill, is rescued in New Orleans after being presumed dead during Hurricane Katrina. Pretty much everyone thought Fats had died, and he just kind of appeared out of nowhere and was like, there's Fats Domino! He's alive and well! But yes, he was trapped during Hurricane Katrina and just could not get any way to tell people, like, I'm fine, I'm okay. But yes, assumed dead, was not in fact dead. Unfortunately now is dead. But that's neither here nor there, because that's not today. So I don't know the date because I didn't look that up. But I do know he's deceased. Now, I keep talking about Cliff Richards. His name, this is one of these things where it keeps coming up, but it came up again today. Now, Cliff Richards was, remember, the guy that is Move It, the song Move It is attributed as like the first like real heavy like rock song. So listen to it. It's actually good. I was like, oh, I like that. But Cliff Richards, on this day, he left EMI Music, which he had been with for 46 years. And people were confounded why he did it. He sold 250 million albums with them. And again, for no reason, switched labels to Universal Music Group and did not give any reasons why. But left EMI after 46 years and 250 million album sales to go to Universal Music Group. All I can think is that they paid him a shit ton of money to do that. And maybe it said that they would buy his catalog or something. I don't know. But I mean, if you're someone with someone for 46 years, it's like a marriage. You have to be pretty disgruntled to move on and be like, you're an old man, all right? You're not going to do any better at this point unless you're really rich, and you're looking for that 20-year-old secretary. Bro, you're 70 something. How are you going to do this? But apparently he did. So I was interested about that one. 2002 in Boston, the Rolling Stones sold their tickets for, ready for this one? A whopping $224, which seemed outrageous at the time. Okay, the camera's going to change, so I'm going to go to this camera so I don't have it go clicking off because I'm paying attention tonight. I'm going to show you the overview of my mess that is here. You can see my notes down here. I'm going to click on this camera so that it goes back on because that still happens. That I can't change yet. I am going to go to Midwest Photo and try and get it fixed. I'll try. But yes, so the Rolling Stones tickets sold for a whopping $224 for their best seats in Boston. They wound up selling 2.5 million tickets and did over 100 shows at that tour. I think I saw them in that 2002 tour as well. But think about that, $224 for their best seats. Hell, you can't even get $224 to like the nosebleed seats these days for some shows. I mean, it's just gotten out of control. I guess it is, it's capitalism and it's inflation, but ridiculous. I saw that there's Oasis tickets this weekend. It's the last couple of dates here in the States, which apparently I missed. The Meadowlands just happened last week. And I was like, oh, I was going to see it. No, I didn't go see Oasis. So I won't be seeing them. Such is life. That's the way it goes when you're an ex-rock and roll person. But they have tickets still left at the Rose Bowl, but their starting tickets, the cheap seats, are like $200. So again, that's what they list at, but I'm sure you can't get them for that. Even like, the nosebleeds. So think about that. Rolling Stones, inflation, 2002, $224. Who knew? In 1991, Nirvana, while in London, recorded Dumb, Drain Me, and Endless Nameless at Maida Vale Studios for BBC One. I was like, oh, interesting. So I went and looked them up. Yeah, they're good recordings. I was like, yeah, very nice. It's sort of like an MTV Unplugged, but for BBC One. I was like, yeah, very cool. Sort of like their little 3-set show. Who knew? This comes with a heading of, what the fuck? Ike Turner in 1991 was released from prison after 18 months of a 4-year jail sentence. Okay? He had been arrested previously 10 times. In an interview with Vanity magazine, he confessed to spending, ready for this one, $11 million on cocaine. 11 million. Just go be friends with someone in the cartel, dude. Like, really? 11? How are you still alive? That didn't kill you. $11 million on cocaine. Okay. Good luck with that. Wow. I don't even know if you did that, you would want to admit it. Because that just makes you look like, dude, you're an idiot. Like, I understand that's an addiction, but $11 million? Just saying. Speaking of addictions, 1983, UB40's Red Red Wine becomes number one in the UK. Now, if you didn't know that, that's a Neil Diamond cover, Red Red Wine. They re-released it again. Remember, this is a cover. They re-released it again in the United States in 1988, and it went to number one. So they basically got number one out of the same song as a cover twice, both in 1983 in the UK and then again in 1988 in the United States. There's got to be some rules against that. You can't have the same song be number one twice, can you? If you re-release it, but it's the same song and it's not even your song. I mean, who doesn't love Red Red Wine? But that just seems cheating. Get a couple of gold records. I have the original gold record that says you're number one. No, I had the other gold record that says you're number one. Kind of bullshit to me. Just saying. I was reading today where cursing has lost its impact because it's so used these days. I'm like, what the fuck? It's lost its impact. I'm like, well, that's no good. It's just become normalized. And the place that curses the most was Columbus, was Ohio. I'm like, well, of course we do. Shit. Okay. This one, I'm like, this comes at the heading of you have too much frigging money. In 1982, a 3-day festival in San Bernardino, California, paid for, and this is bankrolled by Steve Wozniak of Apple. Okay? Listen to this lineup. Tom Petty. Okay? Fleetwood Mac, The Police, The Cars, The Kinks, The Ramones, The B-52s, The Grateful Dead, The English Beat, Pat Benatar, and what was the other one? Oh, did I say The Cars? Oh, and The Talking Heads. He bankrolled that 3-day festival. One, awesome lineup. Two, really? I mean, that's going to be millions of dollars. And I'll just bankroll that. Why not? Sounds like a fun time. We'll just do that show. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to bankroll festivals that have that kind of, star power. Jesus. Just saying. Steve Wozniak, Apple, and that was in 82. What could they bankroll now? Now, again, can you do this? Elvis, 1977, he had, and I didn't read all the songs that he did, but he had 17 number ones, and he had one was in the UK and one was here, and it tied him with the Beatles for the number of number ones, which included albums and singles. But I was like, wait a second. Again, how do you have number ones in different places at like different times? Doesn't make sense, does it? I guess different charts, but still, it just seems sketchy. If your song is number one, that song's number one. It can't be number one somewhere else, and that'd be not number one. Just saying. Just saying. Now, this one I was like, whoa. Because, again, I found it in one place, and it just said that the Rolling Stones in 1965 had to stop a show for 12 minutes because of a disturbance. Well, I read and found out, actually, it was a little bit more of a disturbance. So in 1965, the Rolling Stones were performing in Dublin, Ireland. 30-plus fans stormed the stage, causing a riot. Literally a riot. Mick Jagger was knocked to the floor while the rest of the band fled. That was the word they used, fled. So poor Mick is knocked on his ass, and the rest of the band is like, peace out, Mick, we're out of here. That's when it took 12 minutes for them to regain, the composure on the stage and quell this riot that is now occurring at the Rolling Stone concert in Dublin, Ireland. It did resume, but yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, the show stopped for 12 minutes. Yeah, because there was a freaking riot. And poor Mick, of course, saying lost impact. I call bullshit. I know, that's what I said too. I said complete bullshit, Todd. I totally disagree with that. But supposedly it has. I'm just saying. Now I go back to regular kind of, this is the short list now of things that I found of interesting historically. In 1709, the first major group of settlers of German and Swiss origin move and arrive into North Carolina and South Carolina. This is in 1709. That's why you have such influences in architecture and some of the businesses, because of the Swiss and the German arrival that then immigrated from that. That's why you see certain things in New England, and that's why, in the Midwest, there's certain areas because of a lot of different, like in Ohio, in Columbus, we have German Village. The radio station used to be in the Swiss Club, of all places. That's what that building was called. That's why it looks like a Swiss chalet, because it was the Swiss Club. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris is signed in Paris by both American and British leadership, finally and pretty much ending the American Revolution. So that's the day that they equate the end of the revolution is actually today, September the 3rd of 1783. In 1823, the New York Sun newspaper, the very first, becomes the first daily printing newspaper in the country. And that begins happening today. This one only because it was Ohio. 1925, the U.S. airship ZR-1 Shenandoah crashes in Caldwell, Ohio. There was deaths. I just didn't write the numbers down. But it wasn't. It was like 30. I mean, it was an airship. It crashed. It wasn't the Hindenburg in New Jersey, okay? Oh, the humanity. That was hydrogen. Anyway, yes, so Caldwell, Ohio, there was a Zeppelin crash. And then in 1929, the Dow Jones hits 381 points. Shortly thereafter, it crashed. Remember the Great Depression? That was in 1929. Who knew? All right, now it goes back to things, which is still stuff. So 1966, Donovan, they call me Mellow Yellow, has his number one song, Sunshine Superman. I tried to listen to that earlier, but I ran out of time, so I didn't get to listen to the whole thing. In 1995, eBay was founded. Now, I have a whole bunch of things listed on eBay. I'm going to put more things out there, but I'm going to make a price reduction, so you're going to hear it first. So if you're interested in any of those gold albums, go check it out and be ready, because I'm going to drop the price probably $100 on every one of them. The ones that are like $795, I'm going to drop down to like $695. And I'm only going by market value of what I see other people are selling it for. So I'm just saying, I'm just going to, try and sell some of these things, because apparently I owe eBay almost $8,000. Don't even ask. Don't ask. How I after this up, I don't know. But I owe eBay like $8,000. How they let me get in the negative that much, I have no idea. Apparently I was not paying attention at all to some of the stuff I was doing on eBay. It happens. What do you want me to tell you? Fucked it up. 2013, Microsoft buys Nokia. They make those phones. They bought it for $7.2 billion. Okay. I need to invent something. Sell it to Microsoft or to Google or to Apple. Man, telling you. 2015, a Kentucky clerk is arrested and jailed because this clerk would not issue marriages for gay or licenses for gay marriage. It was the law. They said no, so lock her up. 2019, Walmart stopped selling handguns and certain ammunition. Well, isn't that nice? How family friendly of you to stop selling, weapons. I can see you selling hunting things when you're a hunting store, but you're Walmart, for God's sakes. I go to Walmart because I want cheap crap from the sewing department or if I'm stumbling by, I find some ho-hos and, lighter fluid because I need to refill a lighter or something. I don't know. Walmart. Then they moved the Walmart down. There was a Walmart on South High Street that was just in another abandoned shopping mall. I guess they made a superstore further south. I have not been because it is not convenient for me. So I've not been to Walmart in months. Not that I miss it, but when I used to do stuff at the radio station, I was quite adept in going to Walmart when I needed stuff to build things. Like I need a pop-up tent. You can get cheap pop-up tents at Walmart instead of getting, on eBay apparently. Again, how I did that, I have no idea. So when I put shit up there, please buy it because I apparently owe eBay a lot of money. In 2024, now this is just fucked. In 2024, Phoenix, Arizona hits 100 degrees for the 100th consecutive day. Could you imagine that? I mean, it was hot this summer here, but 100 every day for 100 days? Holy crap. I mean, June, July, August, September. So all of June, all of July, all of August, partial of September, and part of May, 100 degrees every day. I mean, yeah, it's the desert, dry heat and all, but wow. I don't know if I'd want to live in 100 degrees. I mean, for someone who lives in Arizona, do you just go from like your car to a house, to a building, to a pool? I mean, how could you be outside working in 100 degrees constantly every day? I mean, I did it for a few days in 90 working in the house, and I'll tell you what, man, I lost weight. It was just falling off me because of sweat. 100 degrees is insane, especially for 100 days. I don't know. That doesn't seem like that's a good way to live. Just saying. Okay, and then now, who is dead on this day? Okay, I only found two because this goes all the way back to the first websites I was looking at. Dead on this day, Vince Lombardi, who was the Green Bay Packers coach, Lombardi Trophy, all that good stuff. Good old Vince Lombardi, and Reverend Sun Young Moon. Now, I don't know if you remember, there was the Moonies. So the Moonies used to be at like the airports and used to be all over the place. And, it was, you would see these believers, the Moonies in, a lot of places trying to get you to do the religion. He had like a mass marriage. I forget it was like how many people, hundreds of people or thousands of couples or something. But yeah, the Moonies was a crazy, crazy ass religion. I think it's probably still around, but yeah, the guy Sun Young Moon is no more. He's passed away. But yeah, I didn't have time because, like I said, I found this new website and it kind of took me a little bit further because I was trying to write everything down musically. But yes, the Moonies. So that was okay. So there it was. That was it's a dry heat. I get that. A friend there lives in Arizona. I go out with him. It's 110. We go hiking, golfing. It's not that bad. Okay, it just feels like you'd be in a broiler at 110 degrees. I don't know. I've not been in Arizona in the dead of summer. I've been there in like spring and fall, but never in like summer. It just seems like that would be. I guess it's like Vegas. I've been in Vegas in the dead of summer. It's just hot. You just go to the pool. You just find a fun pool to hang out in, and there you go. That's the way that works. All right, so that was the new and more musically focused setup. I'll see if it's the same thing tomorrow, if they have the same kind of stuff. And if so, I think I'm going to lean more toward doing it more musically as opposed to historically. Because history's fine and all, and I'd like doing stuff. But seriously, I'm telling you, like the website had like everything, because it had, historical events. And like from the 20s to like the 50s was just war, everything. And there's a lot going back like 36, Ivan the Terrible, Richard the Horrible. I was like, wow, man, we are absolutely a horrible species. And AI will figure that out and be like, it'll just read our history once and be like, yeah, you guys suck. Delete. But I did not bring up the whole story yet of this guy, Eric, who name is ChatGPT. I have not used ChatGPT yet. I will admit that. I have not had a conversation with it. I'm very tempted to. I've asked Copilot and some things questions, but I have not had an actual, like, voice conversation with any AI agent yet. Well, I mean, I have because I've called customer service, and very quickly it was like, that's not a person I'm talking to. That's an AI agent. Because you can ask a few, couple questions and figure it out pretty quickly. Like, oh, you're not human. I feel like Decker in Blade Runner. You have to ask all these questions of the replicants to see if they're real or not. If they fumble up. Interesting though, very interesting how that works. I like musically focused. Looking forward to another one. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with the musically focused. I thought that'd be better too, because it's more knowledgeable to have. I'm not a big history buff. I mean, sure, history, someone knows like the only president besides Trump that's had 2 non-consecutive terms, Grover Cleveland. Okay, I knew that. Aaron Burr, vice president, he shot Hamilton. I know that. But there's just lots of things, that I don't know. And I'm sort of like, oh, it's interesting. And I'll still find some of those. But I think more musically focused is better because I can have a lot more requisite knowledge of it because, hell, it's what I did for 30 plus years. And it just seems a little bit lighter. There's going to be less war involved in that. And I have to skirt around that issue less when it comes to musicians because, except for having some creepy musicians now and then, they're going to be less likely to be, accused of genocide. I hope. But one can never know in this day and age, can we? So I started watching a new show called The Pit. It's a medical drama show. Not bad. It's because my other shows are all caught up. I binged and ran to the end. I can stay up, just so you know. Typically, when I tell you I go to sleep, and I usually don't go to bed till like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm done with this at midnight. I'm spending at least another 2 hours watching TV and doing reading. Just reading stuff and getting ready for the next day, and then I get up at like 7 o'clock. So I still only get like 5 hours of sleep a night. I don't know what it is. It's just I've always been a very light sleeper when it comes to the amount of sleep. Past and upcoming concert dates, origins of bands. Yes, that's what I'm looking at. And I would like to find stuff like that. That's not just the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Nothing against the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Love them. But I want to find out, like, I don't know, the Hoodoo Gurus, or like we talked about Nirvana recordings, or things that are current. It's just there's so many. It's just like when I found out about the earthquakes, like how many there are a year. Okay, maybe they aren't just this time of year. It's just that there's so many, 130,000 a year. Some are imperceptible, but that's a lot. That's a lot. That's like multiples per day in different locations, and I can only do so much. I can only have this thing go on for, I can't have a filibuster for 24 hours every day. 30, 45 minutes, sure. When I get toward an hour, I'm pushing it. I figured by then most people are fatigued and have gone, peace, done with you. Just saying. So tomorrow's Thursday. Because the holiday, my garbage can schedule is off. Because the green garbage cans are out today. Because it's what? It's Wednesday. But all the garbage cans bump forward a day. So today I was like, wait, it's Wednesday because Labor Day moved the garbage cans forward a day. So tomorrow won't be the blue garbage cans. That'll be Friday because of recycling. So Friday will be blue this week. Then I'll go back to my normal regular schedule. I met about the 934 festival today that I'll be the MC for next weekend. I was potentially going to go to the See Something in New Jersey. I might still go. I'm trying to figure it out, which is next weekend also. Seeing Here festival in Asbury Park. My friend says, I have a ticket. I'm like, oh man, I'm tempted to go. Go look at the lineup. It's pretty solid. I was like, okay, that might be, I might have to go to Jersey. I mean, there's no hotels, but I can go stay at my mom's house. She'd be like, what are you doing home? I'd be like, I came home for a concert. I'm going to go down and watch music all day, come and crash at night, and go back and watch music all day. I mean, Seeing Here, I think it's called, like SEA. Check out the lineup. Looks like it's pretty solid. So I might have to go to New Jersey next weekend. We'll see. And then I'm going to be the MC for the Italian festivals marching band competition, I guess is what it is. So these guys come from all over the country, really big marching bands. I was like, very cool. So that should be fun too. So I've got a couple of gigs. I get paid for both of them. Can't hate on that. I was like, give me more gigs. I'm all about it. I'm totally into the whole stand in front of people and talk and get paid like this, but I don't get paid. So yes, apparently, because I can't go to the small screen because it looks like this crap. I have to go to the big screen. But yes, Christmas is already out in Lowe's. I'm way, way disappointed. I was hoping we'd wait at least till October. No, that's not happening. Frigging Christmas, they're unboxing, getting ready to unload it, and it's literally the 3rd of September. Disappointing. Anyway, that's all I got for you, friends. You could also start talking about the things in your basement that you would keep busy for 5 or 10 minutes. Oh, dude, there's so much shit in my basement. I mean, I'd have to bust out the camera and just there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot. I mean, there's so much. And it spans everything. It's a lot of work stuff. But, there's so much crap in here. I could always bring a show and tell item. I have so much stuff I could do show and tell with, too. Maybe we'll do show and tell. Well, as I start to empty the office, there's going to be more stuff that has to come here. I did go deal with the storage unit today, too. I had a busy day. I went to visit my friend in the hospital who's having bypass surgery tomorrow. Knock on wood. She was like, I'm a little nervous. I said, actually, you don't have to be nervous. I said, because here's the thing. Either you're going to come through it or not. I mean, they're going to put you to sleep, and either you're going to die on the table or you're not. That's all there is to it. So there's not really much to be nervous about. It's not like you would know it if you don't come through. She was like, that's a good way to put it. She was, I'm less nervous now. I was like, my bedside manner. Perfect. Yeah, if you don't come through, the only ones that'll be sad is us. You won't know. Yeah, that's how that works, though. Just saying. Appreciate it, Todd. So this stuff's got history. I'm sure you could do a show to tell with it. Yeah, I have a lot of this stuff with history. Maybe I'll start doing that because I do have to bring some of that stuff home, and it's got to go to storage unit, and it's got to get sold. All of the above. But I did say I am going to actually, like I said, I'm going to donate one to Thurman Cafe. So you will see a gold record from WWCD and me at the Thurman Cafe here in a couple of days. I'm going to go in and mount it to the wall. Gotta spread the love. Spread the love. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, if you do decide that you want to go to that Heinz thing, the picture is going to be really small and crappy because, again, see, it's up in the corner. When I reset the settings, it might go back to the original setting, but that's where it is. That's its default setting up there in the tiny little corner where I had to move down the XY axis to get it to where it was before. Who knows? That's the actual picture. Much better. All of the above. Wait, I'm like, why is it? This is the wrong button. At least I didn't, the screen didn't fade to black while I was still talking because the camera went off. Less pilot error. I'm trying to be more cognizant. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate you all. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Have a wonderful start to your Thursday because it is Thursday. And we'll do this all again tomorrow, but different. Like I said, I'll try and reorganize more thoughts. And I really, really am debating on bringing in a TV and putting it there as a teleprompter. Then I wouldn't have to look down and handwrite this stuff. I could kind of edit it up there and look at it. I think that writing it down makes it easier because I can understand what I'm putting down because that whole writing thing. But if the TV's right there and I can kind of look at it, if I can get away with not looking like I'm reading because I'm looking at the camera, maybe. It just can't take more time. That's the thing. I'm already dropping an hour and a half into prep for this because I have to read it and then write it. So I'll try. See what we can do. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to get to that 100 show mark, which is coming up fast. 5 days. It'll be 100 episodes. But I'm trying to make it a little more smooth and polished so that you're here to enjoy it. So, peace. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Nothing but love. Fade to black.